heard a long back, spiritual life is walking on the razor's edge. Realization slowly comes now that how it's walking on the razor's edge. One slight mistake, your glories will be sung entire life then. So let us discuss some beautiful verses from Bhagavatam and other scriptures glorifying the path of bhakti, which Vritrasur followed and Indra actually killed him. And he is blasphemed by all the devotees or ridiculed by all the devotees. Indra is ridiculed because of what? Oh, he ran after material opulences and he killed a Brahmana or a Vaishnava. So that is the main point by which, because of which Indra is ridiculed. That he was running after material opulences, and the person whom he killed was actually a very nice devotee. So this injustice people see. When Parikshit Maharaj was traveling in his province on his chariot, everywhere, wherever he used to go, he used to hear the glories of the Lord in his province. Because devotees have lived a life in such a way that their glories are sung for eternity now. Sarartha Parshad Sevana Sakya Dotya Virasana Anugamana Stavana Prananam Snigde Supandisu Jagat Pranitam Cha Vishnu. Because they were so much dear to the Lord that their glories are sung till today everywhere and written in the pages of Bhagavatam. And to live a life in such a way that you are not committing any mistakes is a very serious responsibility. To live a life in such a way that when you leave this world, when you leave this body, people start keeps remembering you. People remember Mahatma Gandhi also, but nowadays so many people are going against Mahatma Gandhi that he did this. We could have got freedom in any way. It was not him who gave freedom. So people always remember. It goes very long back. The history goes very long back. It becomes written in the books. Similarly, this project, the person who has actually made this project will be remembered for many years. Entire lifetime, people will remember this Govardhanika village because the vision was given by someone perfectly. Snigdeshu Pandushu Jagat Pranitam Cha Vishnu. So this is the inspiration of all those people also, because these verses from Bhagavatam and the life of devotees, they give inspiration to many others who are going to come and follow that path. If I ask myself or yourself that what is the thing which drives us, is actually the previous impressions and inspirations which we got from our seniors and the hearing which we did from our senior, the lectures which we heard. Like one time Gaurangpur was asked in one of the podcasts, it was the podcast which was circulated entire, it was like viewed by so many people. So he was asked, what you will do if you get little time for yourself. So he said, I will go back to those years when we used to spend a lot of time hearing katha, spending time with Maharaj. The time I'm, the time was very special. Now it's also association is there, but some period of time which you remember the entire life, which drives you through the entire life. So this is the relation between the spiritual master as Krishna and Pandavas, and similarly the guru and the disciple. ताते कृष्ण भजे करे गुरु रा सेवन माया जाले छूटे पाए कृष्ण रा चरण. Very beautiful formula is given in this verse. ताते कृष्ण भजे करे गुरु रा सेवन. Two things have to be done. Just no more, no more thinking anything else. Just perform bhajan and do service to Guru. Applies well to us. Chant in the morning and do service to the Guru. ताते कृष्ण भजे करे गुरु रा सेवन माया जाले छूटे. Easily he can be relieved from the chains of Maya. Similarly, Shankaracharya, when he wrote Bhaj Govindam, Bhaj Govindam. So what is that verse which says Dukuran Dukuran? There's so many shlokas, if you remember, it will not help you at the time of Nahi Nahi Rakshati Dukuran Dukuran. Bhaj Govindam, Bhaj Govindam mood mate. So many scholars are there, but the essence is given in this one small two-line shloka. Tate Krishna bhaje, kare Guru ra sevan, Maya jale chute, pai Krishna ra charan. Right now, so many places people are worshipping the goddess Durga Devi. Entire Kolkata, it will be there, and here also. But we are taking another perspective that those who take shelter of Krishna will be relieved from this Durga Devi. We will be relieved from the clutches of Maya. Devi hai Isha Gunamayi, Mama Maya Duratteya. Otherwise, if a person does not take shelter of Krishna, then what will happen in this sansara where Durga Devi holds everyone? What the person will go through? So there is a verse from 29th chapter of 4th canto where a beautiful section is there of Prachini Barishit and discussion with Narad Muni. Beautiful verses Narad Muni speaks to shake up Prachini Barishit. Then he says, if a person does not take shelter of a prominent personality, a prominent guru, and teachings of scriptures, what will happen to him? Kvachit puman, kvachit cha istri. Sometimes he will take birth as a male person. Sometimes he will take birth as a female person. Kvachit puman, kvachit cha istri. Kvachit na ubhayam andabhi. Ubhayam, both male and female together, eunuchs. They'll be born sometime as eunuchs also. Andabi, sometime he will be born as a blind person, sometime very beautiful person. So birth will continue. Sometime as a male, sometime as a female, sometime both together. Sometime blind, sometime very beautiful. Devo, sometime he will take birth as a Devata, sometime he will take birth as a Manushya, Triyag, and so many other living entities. So he will keep roaming around. Because Prachini Barshid was performing lot of sacrifices, lot of Ashwamedh Yagya and all animal sacrifices. But Narad Muni is shaking him up. If you keep performing such sacrifices, what will happen? You will just roaming around in the material world. Deva Manusha Triyag Yatha Karma Gunan Bhava. This is all happening because of the karma cycle. Karanam Gunasangasya. Bhagavad Gita also says. Purusha Prakriti Stohi Bhunkte Prakriti Jan Guna. Karanam Gunasangasya Sad Asad Yoni Janmishu. The rotation of a living entity in this material world is because of the gunas. So you can sit on the mat. It will be little. Then again, it is said in that section only, Rajini Parishad section. sh- When I read this verse, this entire purport and this shloka can be discussed in our management meeting. The whole purport is actually based on a dog. Shut parito yatha dina. Sarameyo griham griham. Charan vindanti yad dishtam dandam odanam evava. Goes from door to door. Shut parito. Shut means hunger. Parito yatha dina. Goes from one community to another, one person to another. Give me something. Just like we see dogs here. Similar is the condition of us. Shutparito yatha dina saramaya griham griham. He goes from one door to other door. He doesn't have to go here from one door to another. Just walks around. So many guests will feed him. They bring biscuits and so many things. Goes from door to door for some food. According to his destiny, he sometimes receives punishment from brahmacharis. Sometimes he receives punishment from those people who know him. Sometimes he gets food for those who don't know him, those who come from organizations like, and is driven out, and at other times receives a little food to eat. Similarly, the living entity being influenced by so many desires. This is all happening because of desires. It's not that if we supply food at some place, then all the dogs will come there and eat. Can we discuss? But it's a desire which drives a person. Just like dog is desired by this food, that person. So whether the living entities also, because of the desires, he keeps roaming around. The living entity being influenced by so many desires, wanders in different species of life. Just in the previous verse, it was said, Kochit Puman, Kochit Taisri. Sometimes a male body, sometimes a female body, sometimes both, now Bhayam, eunuchs. And sometimes Triag, different other living entities. Sometimes he goes to the heavenly planets, Devaloka. Sometimes to hell, sometimes to the middle planets. Bhagavad Gita says, Urdhvam gachanti sattvastha, madhya tishtanti rajasa, jaganya gunavrittista, adho gachanti tamasa. So this whole circle will keep on going on. Keep going. Person will keep traveling from one body to another. That's why when in our Vidyapit, say, when we were attending, when we came across the beautiful shlokas of Bhagavatam, which mentioned the highest purpose of life in very beautiful string of verses, which goes through entire Bhagavatam. So this whole concept of roaming around is very much easily eradicated by these kind of beautiful hope-giving verses from Bhagavatam. Tasseva heto prayete to kovido. Oh intelligent person, why you are roaming around in this circle of all the living entities? You should have little intelligence and common sense that this is all happening. Is they do over your prayas, do your endeavor towards that thing which will actually liberate you. Not even liberate, will give you highest destination above liberation. Tasseva heto prayate to kovido. Kovido is means very intelligent person. Na labhyate yad brahmatam upari adha. You will not find such relevance of your life if you roam around from one planet to another. Tal labhyate dukkavad anyatasum. Just like people uninvited, nowadays say the guest also, but uninvited miseries, just they get in their life. Similarly, people will get sukha also. Why you're searching out that sukha? Kalena sarvatra gabira ramasa. The most important thing which a person has is the time factor in his life, if he utilizes. Then again, Narad Muni in that section of Prachini Pari says, Yatha hi purusho bharam shirisa gurum udvahan. Just like a person who is carrying a lot of burden on his head, sometimes keeps that burden on his shoulder. But the burden is still there in his body only. He is only suffering that burden. So whether a person lives in this world or above Devaloka or some better planets, burden will still be there. He has to still come to this earthly realm only. Tas kandena sa adatte tatha sarva pratikriya. All the counteractions a person tries to do. Just like here, Indra, he has just killed one Brahmana and he will be doing so many other things so that he can get rid of. But highest praschit can be done is to please the Supreme Lord. He can easily, that shloka from Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu is there. Prarabdha and aprarabdha. All those sinful reactions are taken away when a person does bhakti towards the Lord. Further, Narad Muni says, Arthe hai avidyamane pi samsitir na nivrate. Even if a person sometimes sees this is a problem, but if he doesn't have a factual cause for it, doesn't have a uh, real understanding of Srimad Bhagavatam and the application of bhakti principles, Arte hai avidyamane pi samsritir na nivartate. The cycle of material life from one planet to other or one species to other will not end up. Manasa linga rupena swapne vicharate yatha. Just like a person who is sleeping, he gets a dream. Manasa lingena. The whole form of sense objects manifests in the dream. And sometimes it is said whatever you have done in the day manifests in the dream. Or what you have done, you might have done long back also, it will manifest. That's why one time I used to say that there are some ladies who cover their entire body, but their eyes are open. You can understand which species, which are those ladies, black all over the body, but still eyes are open. Nomadian girls. So that is the biggest thing which a person can capture all the knowledge, or you can say all the things from the eyes. You can get all the sense gratification knowledge from the eyes because the powerful sense is there, which is open, and it registers with the mind, and which makes the living entity more prone to enjoyment. That's why sometimes it is said, walk like a horse. Horse has both sides covered, so that the senses are not so roaming around here. Manasa linga rupena. It is subtle form will develop in the dream, because of which the desires will come up and the living entity will act and he will keep roaming around. This is Narad Muni speaking. Then it is said, Atha Atmano Arthbhutasya Yato Anartha Parampara. We have heard about Guru Parampara, but this is Anartha Parampara, the parampara of doing sinful acts one by one. Oh, this sinful act is not giving so much happiness now. Let us advance now to a higher realm of sinful acts. This is what happening in the internet. This video is not releasing a dopamine in the head this much only. Now I need a bigger enjoyment to release bigger dopamine in the head, bigger chemical reaction in the head, so that I can get a bigger enjoyment. And it is keep on going. People are from this much. Earlier, it was very innocent videos which were coming when the initial social media came. It was very naive videos or innocent videos people were making. But now they're making videos in which all sinful habits are shown very prominently and very easily. And people are laughing watching that because they have reached up to the Anartha Parampara, highest stage of Guru Parampara of Anarthas. But till the time they don't come in contact with some devotees who tell, oh, this what you are doing is a nonsense thing. Real goal of life is something else. Stop doing all this. You're wasting your energy and time. You're not getting even real happiness. Till the time they come in contact with such a devotee, this Anarth Parampara will not turn into some Guru Vaishnav Parampara. Vasudeva Bhagavati Bhakti Yoga Samahita. Sadrichena Vairagyam. Very easily a person will attain Vairagya. I myself sometimes think, within few years, how can a person think that the career which he was trying to build suddenly thinks of joining as a monk, leaving everything? So the change which we see in our life is because of the power of that bhakti process, not just because of some qualification we had, but because of that power of bhakti process which enabled us in such a way that we were able to give up very easily. And this is the proof of from these verses only. Vasudeva Bhagavati Bhakti Yoga Samahita. When taken to the heart, Sadrichena Vairagyam, very easily. Achirena means very easily. A person thinks of Vairagyam. Jnanam cha janishyati. Anarthopashanam sakshat bhakti yogam adoksha. That's why the whole Bhagavatam was written by Vyasdev for this purpose. So achiradeva rajashe syad achyut kathashraya. Narad Muni further says, very beautiful section. This section is very beautiful where Narad Muni is preaching to Prachini Bhari. I'm taking that section. So achiredeva rajashe syad achyut kathashraya. Shanvata shaddadhanasya nityada sad adhiyata. O best of kings, one who is faithful, who is always hearing the glories of the Supreme Lord, who is always engaged in the culture of Krishna consciousness, in hearing of Lord's activities, very soon becomes eligible to see the personality of Godhead. Shanvata Shaddadhanasya Nityada Syad Adhiyata. Yatra Bhagavato Rajan Sadhavo Vishadashaya. Wherever the devotees are there, I am fortunate. I get some Sangha. So this verse is saying about this. Wherever the great devotees are there, you are doing sacrifices for long time. Narad Muni is preaching to Prachini Bharjit. We can preach to other people also. You're doing these things for a long time. You're doing these rituals for a long time. But have you come in contact with some devotee? As soon as a person comes in contact with some devotees, immediately these things happens. Immediately the emotions towards the Lord take birth. It's already there actually. Rupa Goswami says it's already there. Just manifests. Process is just given and the manifestation happens. Yatra Bhagavato Rajan Sadhu. साधवो विशदाशया भगवत गुणानुकथना श्रवण व्याघ्र चेतसा. व्याघ्र, हु इज व्याघ्र? व्याघ्र, व्याघ्र इज eagerness. It is a eagerness is, but व्याघ्र, व्याघ्र, which one? शेर को क्या बोलते हैं? व्याघ बोलते हैं. व्याघ्र चेष्टा, eagerness to hear. भागवत गुणानुकथना श्रवण व्याघ्र चेतसा. That recently that photo was circulated where Maharaj was sitting in the altar and hearing the class of Bhakti Samit Swami Maharaj. तस्मिन् महान् मुखरितो मधुभिश्चरित्रा पीयूष शेषा सरिता परिता श्रवन्ति ताये पिबन्ति अवितृषो नृपगाढ कर्णे तन्ना स्पृशन्ति अशनतृष भय शोक मोहा. So that's what I was saying, that when we were reading Srimad Bhagavatam in Vidyapit, thanks to Gaurang Prabhu that he started this facility here. Everybody, even these Vidyapit devotees, when they keep roaming around, some vibrations of Bhagavatam is already always there. So these verses, when we read, it gives a lot of hope. I was taking one small talk of students. There are four kinds of thoughts: necessary thoughts, wasteful thoughts, then positive thoughts and negative thoughts. In positive thoughts section, hope is given. When a person is very hopeful, it is called as a positive thought. And highest thoughts are thoughts of Krishna. Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, Mat chita mat gata prana bodhayanta parasparam. And the thoughts of my devotees always dwell in me and they talk about me. Paraspar paranu gunanu kathanam. So they talk about me. So highest thoughts are Krishna conscious thoughts. But if a person living outside, he's just hopeful of life. Like Gaurang Prabhu many times say, the whole purpose of thing is the positive. If the positive hope is given in somebody's life, that is the biggest service one can do. So here it is said, Tasmin Makhan Mukharita Madhuvit Charitra. Taye Pibanti Avitasha Nipagad Karnes. The person who hears these glories, Tanna Sprashanti Ashanatrit Bhaya Shoka Moha. Although we are, I can myself say that I'm not on such a level that hunger and thirst and all these things will not trouble me. Every day it troubles me, that's why I eat also. But those people who are very much into hearing Krishna Katha, like we see those times when Maharaj used to speak for hours, 5, 6 hours, and people were so absorbed. They know after some time they're going to eat, definitely they're going to take prasad. But at that moment, they are not worried about their hunger and thirst. Even going to, people are sitting there only 4, 5 hours in a AC hall, controlling all the urges. Hunger and thirst is okay. Sometimes you can control, but to go to the washroom, it's a bigger, I think, at that time. Satam prasangam mama virya samvidam. Then further, Narad Muni says, Eter upadrito nityam jiva loka swabhavaja na karoti harer nunam कथामृता निधोरतिम. हरनीर, अगर भगवान की लीलाएं ठीक से नहीं सुनेगा वो व्यक्ति, because the conditioned soul is always disturbed by the bodily necessities. What is that shloka where Parikshit Maharaj says in the 10th canto that he is not troubled by ati dusha sunvam taktyodam apibhadyate pibadantam tam mukham bhojam vitam hari kathamrita. So here it is saying about the normal conditioned soul, because the conditioned soul is always disturbed by bodily necessities. And sometimes these necessities are not just necessities, they are wants actually. People have made necessary wants as necessary things, comforts as necessary things. The bodily necessities have increased so much. Always disturbed by these bodily necessities such as hunger and thirst. These are considered as the biggest one. But sometimes people are able to control this also. But the desire which is there in the heart is very difficult to control. Because food you can get. There are so many places. Even if a person has little intelligence, he can go and stay near the temple, like gurudwaras and temple. Food you can get, but the desire to enjoy in a certain way doesn't go. He has very little time to cultivate attachment to hearing the nectarian words of the Supreme Power. Na karoti hare nunam kathamrita nidhoratim. Then, very beautiful in three verses, Narad Muni says, he lists down many of the great personalities' names. And he says, Prajapati Sakshat Bhagavan Girisho Manu. And some of these personalities are actually Mahajans also. Girisho Manu. Girisho is powerful Lord Shiva, and Manu is Swayambhuva Manu. And then some names of mixed devotees are also there. Dakshadayo, Prajapati, Prajapati Pati Sakshat Bhagavan Girisho Manu, Daksha Jaya Adayo, Praja Adhyaksha, Naishtika Sanakadaya, Naishtika Sanakadaya. The powerful rishis, four rishis, Sanakadaya. All these names are given. Why these names are given? In the end, he will tell. Marichi Ratri Angirisho, all the rishis' name. Marichi, Angirisha, Pulatsaya, Pulaha Kratu, Pulatse Muni, Pula Muni, Kratu Munu, Bhragur Vashishta Itiyete, Mad Ant Brahma Vadina. These all personalities which I have just named you, they have reached to the understanding of all the Vedic scriptures. They have read thoroughly, very much. Mad Anta Brahma Vadina. They are Brahmavadis. Like when sometimes we say Mayavadis, they are Brahmavadis. They have reached up to the that level of realization. Marichi, Atri, Angirasa, Pulatsya, Pula, Kratu, Bhrigur, Vashishta. So many great personalities' names are there. Adhyapi Vachas Patyas Tapo Vidya Samadhi. How they have reached up to that level? Tapo Vidya Samadhi bhi. Tapasya, by Vidya, by doing Samadhi. They have reached up to the such levels of Brahma realization. Pashyanto api na pashyanti. Still they can't understand me. Still they can't understand Lord. Pashyantam Parameshwaram. I will read the entire translation. Beautiful translation. Narad Muni says, the most powerful Brahma, Prajapati. Then Daksha's name will separately will be mentioned. The most powerful Brahma, the father of all progenitors. दक्षा का एपिसोड सुना हमने किस तरह उसमें वो यज्ञ में बट ही ब्रह्मा वाज द फादर ऑफ दक्ष लॉर्ड शिवा मनु daksha and other rulers of mankind the four saintly first class brahmacharis headed by Sanaka and Sanatan the great sages Marichi Atri Angirisha Pulatsya Pulaha Kratu Bhrigu and Vashishta and my humble self in the end Narad Muni says my humble self all these great personality as myself also he's including himself also are all stalwart brahmanas the names which are given they are all stalwart person who have reached up to the brahman platform who can speak authoritatively on vedic script literature what was that statement brahmavadina that line came we are very powerful somebody might say I'm very powerful but he might be having powers but in front of his spiritual master and krishna he should become humble we might be having some skills and powers, and all powers are given by Lord only. And Kapil Dev section, this comes also that how all the grains are growing because of Lord's energy. Bhagavad Gita, Pushnami, Aushadhi, Sarva. So yes, we gain energies from Prakriti only. The bodily energies are prana is working because of energy given by Lord. So here also Vedic literature also to understand that Vedic literature that also is coming from Lord only. That intelligence is coming from Lord only. So very beautifully he says, who can speak authoritatively on Vedic literature? We are very powerful because of austerities, tapo, vidya, samadhi. These three words came. Austerities, meditation, and education. We can also apply in our life. Tapasya, chanting of holy names. Tapasya, we can, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur writes at some times that whenever it is mentioned about tapasya for devotees, it is those fasting days when Vaishnav Tithis are there. Those are like tapasya for. Otherwise, people do other fast also. Somvar ka vrat, ye but we devotees, Vaishnavas, do fasting on those days when Vaishnav Tithis are there. That is tapasya for us. Austerity is meditation, like we can consider it as chanting, and education, reading Bhagavatam and Bhakti scriptures. In 11th canto, when Uddhav ji is having conversations with Lord Krishna, very beautiful one verse comes which says there are so many scriptures, and sometimes hearing stories from here and there, that thing comes in mind. Oh, we should also read. Now Ganpati is coming. Let us read Ganpati scripture. There is Ganesh Puran also. This is coming. Let us read some stories from there. But actually, Lord says in that section, Shraddham Bhagavate Shastre, that a person should have full faith on scriptures which are relation with Supreme Lord Krishna. Shraddham Bhagavate Shastre. And then a person should spend his entire energy and time in reading those Shastras, because time is very less with us and intelligence is our very less. We can't spend our intelligence in reading other scriptures which are not directly glorification of Lord. That's why Lord very prominently says there, we should have full faith on these scriptures and spend our time reading those things. So all these stalwart devotees, they have become stalwart because of meditation, education, and austerities. Nonetheless, even after inquiring about the Supreme Personality of Godhead, whom we always see, and sometimes they can always see also, Narad Muni sometimes goes and interacts with, they can see always. Whom we always see, we do not know perfectly about him. This is the last beautiful section. After knowing all the Vedic literature, even having personal darshan of the Lord, we don't know him properly. This is their conclusion after all the rishis. And this is the main Brahmaji says in our prayers when he did that offense and Brahma Vimohan Leela happens. And he says, Athapite deva padam bhaja dvaya prasad alesha anugraheta evahi janati tattvam. How can somebody know you fully, O Lord? How can a person understand your tattva in totality? It's not possible. Bhagavan Mahimno. शब्द ब्रह्मणि दुष्पारे चरन्ति उरु विस्तरे मंत्रलिंग्यर्वच्छिन्नम भजन्तो ना विदु परम. Despite the cultivation of Vedic knowledge, so all the names which were given, all the rishis' name which were given, Narad Muni saying, although all these rishis have done thorough studies, despite the cultivation of Vedic knowledge, which is unlimited, the worship of different demigods by the symptoms of Vedic mantras, we have done all that, but we were not able to understand your personality. Yada yasya anugrahanati. So how a person will understand? There is a seminar which Balram Shakti Prabhu takes. What is that? Self-evaluation tools. And another is how bhakti is transferred from one person to another. What is the cause of bhakti in one's life? So he takes the whole seminar. In the conclusion of entire, he has made 600 slides. So entire conclusion of 600 slide is this only. Bhakti happens when a person, another devotee gives bhakti. So 600 slide is made just for this one conclusion of this one statement, that in your life bhakti will only come. Oh, sorry, not yours. You are already devotees. In others' life bhakti will when come when some other bhakta will go and touch him and will tell him. So when I read some of those statements which he speaks in his that seminar, the preaching inquisitiveness increased in the heart. Oh, we have to touch so many people, otherwise their life will be wasted because they will not be getting connection to Krishna. I am not able to do what you can do. The more we approach, the more we touch devotees. So one time I was sharing with one devotee, Hemrup only, Hemrup Chaitanya Prabhu, that how a person, like so many living entities are there, and if we don't go and first touch them, they will be definitely connected to someone else, because so many organizations are there. And in India, there is a culture that if you are connected to someone, then you hardly, or it takes a lot of effort to change to some other panth or other bona fide sampradaya. So once you are connected somewhere, to change from there is very difficult. So basically, you have to touch so many people that before somebody else touch them, you reach there. So that some element of bhakti is given to them. Reaching out is more important. And this project, so many people, even if devotees personally are not touching, they are getting in touch with, coming here, eating prasad. Mass scale people are coming and getting connected, and how much energy we can put and meet them. So after concluding all these statements that how to understand this Supreme Lord is difficult, he says yes, only possibility, Narad Muni says, is possible when devotee reaches there. Yada yasya anugrahanati, and this word Balram Shakti Prabhu also mentioned in that seminar, yadrichya, and another which word he says, one is yadrichya, what is another, like by luck, ahetuki. Ahetuki and yadrichya, these two words are repeatedly are there in the scriptures, which says that somehow or other you can get in contact with some devotee. By some good fortune, some devotee comes in your life. That's how bhakti enters. Yada yasya definitely karma is not the role. And to prove this point, he says that Hirat Hunandr Pulinda Pulkusha, there are so many fallen people who had such bad karmas, but just by association with some pure devotees, they are uplifted immediately to the highest platforms. Yada yasya anugrahanati Bhagavan Atma Bhavita Sajahati Matim Loke Vede Cha Parinishitam. So if somebody has read a lot of Vedic scripture, then this verse says when a person is fully engaged in devotional service by the guidance of some senior or pure devotees, he is favored by the Lord. Like in the section of Parikshit Maharaj, when he was getting cursed, then he said, because of my Purvaj, Pandavas, they were having a good relationship with Krishna. That's why Shukdev Goswami has come into my life at this very moment. So here also it is said, Yada Yasya Anugranati. By favor of Lord, some devotees will enter into my life. So in the end, I would like to read very a section where Bhaktivedanta Thakur writes about how about good dealings with devotees. There is a section in 11th canto. Siddhanta Thakur has written a whole lot of purports about, first time actually I read that how Bhaktivedanta Thakur writes to develop friendship between devotees, how seriously one should take developing friendship with the devotees. Just, I'm just searching out where I have to. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Sarva Thakur has warned us that if one becomes attracted to non-theistic, ethical philosophies, they look very ethical. All those philosophies, very such as those of Buddhists and Jains, which glorify such mundane principles as ahimsa or non-violence. One's mundane faith in godless ethics is spiritually suicidal. It's a suicide, spiritual suicide, if a person is hooked up to those philosophies. To restrict the senses by artificial austerities and to undertake huge social arrangements to facilitate mass sense gratification are both godless attempts to regulate human society in an artificial way. Then he says, if you really want to understand, he quotes one verse from very famous verse. If you really want to understand what is mercy of the Supreme Lord, then he quotes this shloka from Adi Lila. Shri Chaitanya Daya Karaha Vichar Karite Chitte Pave Chamatkar. So much ethical nonsense is going on in this. If this mercy is given from devotee to devotee, that is the highest. And this is the biggest chamatkar somebody can do in one's life. According to Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Sarva Thakur, a Mahabhagavata, a pure devotee of the Lord, is one who sees that both the material and spiritual worlds are non-different from Lord Krishna. This is a very beautiful concept. He says, people say this is all Maya, this Jagat is Maya. But here Bhaktivinoda Thakur says, material world and spiritual world, both are Krishna's energy, and he says non-different from Krishna, being expansions of his different potencies. One is Adhyatmic potency, one is. But also sees that Vrajendra Nandan Krishna keeps himself eternally distinct from these two. He is distinct from these two because he's all attractive. Now the beautiful statement comes. Thus a pure devotee of the Lord is Aniketana. He doesn't have a shelter here. He doesn't have a shelter in the gross body, neither in the subtle body. Here he says we can't keep our shelter in both the bodies. Sometimes we say we are not the body, but we are not even subtle body. Is Aniketana without a fixed residence. He doesn't have a residence in the gross body, neither in the subtle body. Meaning that he accepts neither the gross or subtle body as his eternal residence. Since one's so-called home and family are expansions of his body, we see expansions of body as in a gross form, but subtle is also expansion because subtle thoughts are there which determine our next home. Thus, a devotee should understand that his eternal residence is fixed in the dust of the lotus feet of the Supreme Personality of God. He's Aniketana from everywhere. He doesn't have shelter, but only shelter is at the dust of the lotus feet. A Vaishnava should reject the gross sense gratification of living in the forest in the mode of goodness. So here Bhaktivinoda Thakur says that those people who are in the mode of goodness, they sometimes think that living in the forest, but this is a sense gratification. A Vaishnava should reject the gross sense gratification of living in the forest in the mode of goodness, living in the city in the mode of passion. Sense gratification, we can prominently say, see, but living in the forest is in the mode of goodness. It's a sense gratification for gross body. Or in the gambling house, that is in the ignorance. So Vaishnava should reject all these things, not even goodness. But what should a Vaishnava do? Here, Prabhupada, these purports are actually written by Prabhupada disciples, 11th canto purports. But many of the statements they have taken from Prabhupada lectures, wherever that verse was quoted, then they took those statements, those translations also, wherever Prabhupada quoted. So a Vaishnava is not recommended to live in the forest, neither in the city where passion is there, neither in gambling areas where a Vaishnava should go. So here it is that a pure devotee may travel all over the world, distributing Krishna consciousness, but he should never consider any material place to be his actual residence. This is uh, a sannyasi role. And Bhaktivinoda Thakur started the whole mission of and giving saffron to people just for this purpose only, so that preaching can happen because people will definitely respect and hear something from devotees. So he should travel. So our one Maharaj who keeps Bhakti Marg Maharaj. Na? So I was thinking that Bhakti Marg Maharaj is traveling everywhere, preaching the concept of save soul. But one another person, he traveled preaching going with the purpose of save soil. Which one is the highest? Save soul or save soil? Definitely giving living entities the culture of bhakti is the highest. But that person became so famous all over the world because he took a social perspective. And here Adhyatmic perspective was still taken and still he is traveling. And another is Loknath Maharaj. Everywhere Padyatra is going on from so many years. Concept is save soul. But that is not taken so seriously because so many people want to create a heaven on earth. Because here only just one person is a very rich person. He has made 100-acre property like us. But he has developed the whole 100-acre property in such a way that he wants to attract people near Godmal temple. His name is, we are going today to meet him. So he has made 100 200 acre property, and his whole concept is whenever you talk to him, he will say one thing only: इसको स्वर्ग बनाना है, इसको स्वर्ग बनाएंगे तो लोग आकर्षित होंगे, फिर थोड़ा धर्म की तरफ आएंगे. He is going opposite way around. That first make it very so beautiful that people will come and take up to devotion. It's good, but he's giving only karma kandas thing only, neither the highest religion. So he's asking us to start something there. Today we are going to start something. Let's see some Bhagavad courses there, Bhagavad Gita. There, huge property he has. He has made a beautiful temple also, Lord Shiva's temple, and so much beautiful property he has made. But the whole Bhagavad Dharma is missing out. So here it is said, Shravanam Kirtanam Dhyanam Harer Adbhuta Karmana. When a person does these things, glorifying the Supreme Lord's activities and all, it gives immediately the highest benefit to the soul. Janma karma gunanam cha tad arthe akhila cheshtitam. The whole effort should be driven towards these activities. So just I will complete this verse, translation and all, then we will end. Ishtam dattam tapo japtam vritam yat chatmana priyam. Daran sutan grihan pranan yat prasmai nivedanam. So in this verse it is mentioned one should give his wife, children, you should give up. So sometimes these kind of verses is taken as, oh, one has to renounce in such a way that a misrepresentation can happen. Or give up your wife and go to the forest. This is so that's why clarification is given by Vishwanath Chakri Thakur. He says, Tapa austerity means that one should observe vows which are Ekadashi Vrat or Vaishnav Tithis. Japam means chanting Hare Krishna. And he says one should offer one's wife, children, and home by converting into a temple. That is how it is offered to the Lord. It is not one has to give up the responsibility. Here Vishwanath Chakra Thakur only clarifies this. Rather than becoming artificially puffed up of this mentality that I'm giving up my wife, children, I'm so renounced, we should be trained in such a way that we everyone becomes a eternal servants of the Lord. That is being highlighted. Okay, thank you so much for your patient listening. Some of the thoughts which I just collected from Srimad Bhagavatam only. Any comments if you have or some corrections? Hare Krishna. श्रीमद् भागवतम ग्रंथ की जय. श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय.